So you're not allowed. They don't want you to say nothing about what's really going on.
No, they wouldn't be quiet.
Youngest child, man, is 28. So they in that generation. And I asked them what is it, and they said, Dad, you clickbait. He said, you clickbait. He said, you one of the most viral people in your age group out there. He said, Dad, every clip on Family Feud got you on it.
Yeah.
You clickbait. If they can take your face and put it on anything, you become clickbait.
Steve Harvey's bodyguard just dropped a bombshell so explosive it could destroy his marriage, his reputation, and the carefully crafted image of America's favorite relationship guru. According to Big Boom, the man paid to protect Steve. Harvey didn't just know his wife was involved with his bodyguard. He music watched. And now, with Epstein's shadow looming over Steve's past, this isn't just about infidelity. It's about a marriage built on secrets, a bodyguard who claims he was encouraged to betray his boss, and a wife who may have been part of the arrangement all along. The question isn't just who's cheating, it's why. Now let me tell you something. Steve knew I was having an affair with Marie, okay? Steve, you saying Steve Harvey knew? Yes. Just hours ago, William Big Boom Freeman, Steve's longtime bodyguard, confidant, and now apparently his wife's alleged lover, sat down for an interview where he didn't just confirm the rumors, he escalated them. And the details, they don't just implicate Marjorie, they implicate Steve. This isn't a cheating scandal. This is a performance. Music, a man who built an empire on telling women how to act and men how to lead, is now at the center of a story where his own bodyguard claims he orchestrated the betrayal. Music, the same bodyguard who, by Steve's own admission, convinced him to marry Marjorie in the first place. The same man who's been by Steve's side for decades, who cooked his meals, guarded his secrets, and music, if we're to believe him, was invited into his bed. Now I'm a Christian, but I ain't that good a Christian, laughter, you know. So let's ask the obvious. Music, was this an affair or was it an assignment? Because here's what we know. Big Boom wasn't just Marjorie's lover. He was Steve's pick. Remember, this is the same bodyguard who, according to Steve himself, motivated him to stick with Marjorie when he was broken, and fresh out of a $30 million divorce in 2005. A man who's been broke, betrayed, and rebuilt doesn't marry for love. He marries for leverage. And if that's true, then the question music becomes, what kind of leverage does Steve Harvey need? The timeline is damning. Steve and Marjorie reconnected in 2005 just as his financial world was collapsing. He was newly single, newly humiliated, and according to his own words, unsure about Marjorie. But Big Boom, the man who'd been protecting him for years, allegedly told him she's the one. And Steve Music listened. They married in 2007. Now fast forward to today. Big Boom isn't just talking. He's revealing a dynamic that flips the script on everything we thought we knew. Because if Steve Harvey's marriage was a cover, what else was? So, like I say, music, that Steve Harvey was in a perfect position to help me get Clement. I wouldn't have to go through what I went through, but God's hand was in it. And then there's the timing. Because while music Big Boom is talking, the world is also digesting thousands of newly released Epstein emails. Emails that allegedly place Steve Harvey in the same circles as the most notorious predator in modern history. Coincidence? Or is this the reason Steve needed a marriage that looked perfect on the outside while operating very differently behind closed doors? The emails released by the House Oversight Committee paint a picture of Epstein's world, one where powerful men allegedly knew about the girls, where Trump was called borderline insane, and where the rules of decency didn't apply. In Steve Harvey's name, it's floating in the background, unconfirmed but undeniable, like a shadow no one's quite ready to step into. But here's the part no one's talking about yet. Big Boom didn't just out Marjorie, he outed Steve. And if Steve Harvey's marriage was a performance, then the real question isn't about who's sleeping with whom, it's about what they're hiding. Because let's not forget Marjorie's past. Before Steve, she was married to Jim Townsend, a man sentenced to life in prison for running a major smuggling operation. After Townsend, she married Donald Woods, another figure with alleged ties to the same world. Two ex-husbands, both with histories that would make most people run. But Steve, he ran toward her. And now with Big Boom's claims and Epstein's emails surfacing in the same week, we have to ask, was this marriage ever about love or was it about survival? And so she called me and she just went off on me. Steve Harvey's public persona is built on morality, on telling women how to carry themselves and men how to lead. But behind the scenes, the story is different. This is a man who, according to court documents, was once accused by his second wife of torture, kidnapping, and soul harm. Allegations a judge later dismissed, but not before they painted a picture of a man who plays by his own rules. A man who, after losing everything in a divorce, allegedly used his next marriage as a shield. And if that's true, then Marjorie's role in this isn't just as a wife. It's as a partner in a very specific kind of arrangement. Meanwhile, the bodyguard at the center of this storm isn't just some hired muscle. Big Boom is a man who brands himself as a celebrated relationship speaker, an author, and a protector of hearts. He's been Steve's right hand for decades, the man who allegedly convinced him to marry Marjorie, the man who now claims he was invited into their most private moments. And if we're to believe the whispers, he's not just talking about Marjorie. He's talking about Steve's own preferences, about a marriage that was never what it seemed. Because here's the thing. If Steve Harvey's bodyguard is telling the truth, then this isn't just a scandal, it's a confession. He took my Winton from me. He turned my son against me. In the Epstein connection, it's the elephant in the room. Because while Steve's name isn't front and center in those emails, the world described in them is one where men like him allegedly moved with impunity, where the girls were a known quantity, where powerful figures allegedly looked the other way, and where the rules didn't apply. And if Steve Harvey was part of that world, even tangentially, music, then his marriage to Marjorie starts to look less like a love story and more like a business arrangement. One where Big Boom wasn't just the help, music, he was the enforcer. But there's more. Because while Steve and Marjorie have denied the rumors, their actions tell a different story. Marjorie's Instagram post about foolishness and lies feels less like a music denial and more like damage control. And Steve's response at InvestFist, "I'm fine. Marjorie's music fine," sounds less like a man dismissing gossip and more like a man who's been here before, who knows the drill, who understands that in his world the truth is whatever you can sell. Her mother is music, 54 years old. Her mother is 5 years older than Puffy. And then there's Lori, Steve's stepdaughter, the woman who was once rumored to be involved with Sean Diddy Combs, a man now facing his own legal nightmare after a trial exposed his alleged music, freak-offs, and private encounters. Lori, who was spotted with Diddy in matching outfits, who was photographed with her arm around him while her parents sat nearby. Lori, whose mother's past, is now colliding with her stepfather's present in ways no one could have predicted. Because if Marjorie's ex-husbands were involved in the kind of operations that land people in prison for life, and if Steve's name is floating in the same circles as Epstein's, then Lori's connection to Diddy isn't just tabloid fodder. It's a pattern. Music and patterns, as we know, are never coincidences. Support system around me too to check me and be like, hey, like what you doing? You good? You need to shake out of it and maybe be like, okay, yeah, you're right, I'm tripping, I'm good regardless. So here's where we are. Steve Harvey, the man who built a career on telling people how to live, is now at the center of a story that involves his bodyguard, his wife, music, his stepdaughter, and some of the most powerful and dangerous men in the world. A story where the lines between love, leverage, and survival are so blurred, it's impossible to tell where one ends and the other begins. And if Big Boom's claims are true, if Steve Harvey's marriage was never what it seemed, then the real question isn't about who's cheating. It's about what they're all hiding. Because in a world where Epstein's emails are still being unpacked, where Diddy's trial exposed a lifestyle of private gatherings and questionable behavior, and where Marjorie's past is a road map of men who played by their own rules, Steve Harvey's marriage might just be the tip of the iceberg. And the iceberg, as we've learned, is always bigger than it looks. So, I just keep going through. But then, I tell you something too. Haters motivate me because when they talking about me, that means I'm doing something. Let's talk about the money because Marjorie isn't just asking for a divorce. She's allegedly demanding $200 million. That's not the action of a scorned wife. That's the action of a woman who knows something. And when you look at Steve's history, bankrupt after his second divorce, rebuilt into a $200 million empire, you start to wonder, was this marriage out?